Chapter 32 Go to the Star Forest Again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the bright underground base, the silver-haired boy thought of something and shook his head. What does a 6-year-old kid like me have to do with Yandra? Kicked all the messy thoughts out of his mind, Chen wiped his hands, and pushed open the door of the experimental area impatiently, measuring cup, alcohol lamp, culture vessel. Looking at the green liquid that occasionally bubbled, the boy felt a familiar and strange feeling coming. It's been a long time. The boy stroked the equipment and finally stopped in front of the test bench, pulling the lighting. Chen took out 2 things from the soul guide, the body slices of the Linwu silkworm, and the 10,000-year soul bone containing natural energy. The former is said to have a great tonic effect. Chen wants to try to make it into a medicine to improve the utilization rate and absorption efficiency, not to mention the latter. Natural energy is a priority and must be studied. Chen rubbed his hands, chakra surged, and his eyes instantly turned jade-like white, rolling eyes, perspective. Let me see what secrets you are hiding. In an unknown valley, the roars of wild beasts and low-level soul beasts continued to come, and at the same time, the cries of young boys and girls could be heard faintly. What a boring job, these little brats are really. In the center of the valley, on the tallest tree, Ghost Douluo sat cross-legged on a tree branch board, his mental power spread out, taking in every corner of the valley. At this moment, except for Chen, all the awakened children above level 5 were here. Some were bitten by wild beasts, struggling and crying desperately, some formed teams, struggling to hunt and survive, and some trembled in the corners, not daring to make any moves. Such scenes were staged in every corner of the valley. Faced with such a miserable scene, Ghost Douluo was unmoved. Unless someone's life was hanging by a thread, he would release some soul power to save him, and then throw him out of the valley directly, and naturally there would be people who prepared in advance to take him away. These are all failed products. They will be trained and taught intensively, and when they grow up a little, they will be sent to some positions that are not dangerous but have no future, those who can hunt soul beasts. In this valley with their own hands, or even those who are deliberately put in, are the key training targets of the Spirit Hall. Well, although not as evil as Chen, he is also a rare genius. Ghost Douluo stared at one direction with interest. There, Xiaoyu, Yan, Hulaina, and a little girl named Zhang Ping were struggling to resist the endless tide of beasts. Several people were almost soaked in blood, their faces were pale, and they were obviously on the verge of collapse. No matter how strong the genius is, he is only a 6-year-old child. The stench of killing and blood all hit their shaky minds. Even Xiaoyu, who is the strongest, is almost fainting at this moment. What? Surprised Ghost Douluo was that Hulaina's reaction was the best among the few people. At this moment, she can still keep a relatively clear mind and keep giving orders. This little girl is not bad. He nodded with satisfaction, and then sighed. It's all because of Chen, this monster, who forced their threshold to rise with incredible performances again and again, so that now they are a little unmoved when seeing geniuses of this level. Otherwise, this kind of thing would come with him and old Chrysanthemum in previous years. This year, it was only him. Come on, little girls and little brats, there is still a long time. Only when you walk out of here can you be called the elites of the future. Pain, suffocation, and the pungent smell of blood almost drowned Hulaina's nerves. The beautiful pink hair had long been stained red by blood, and the delicate little face was also covered with minced meat and blood. She couldn't even tell whether it was her own or the beast's that kept rushing over, almost mechanically waving the weapon in her hand, releasing soul power, listening to the roars and screams coming from her ears. A pair of dark and bright eyes emerged in Hulaina's mind. A day ago, when Ghost Douluo brought them to this valley, she had asked about the whereabouts of the boy, but the answer she got silenced everyone, including her. Chen. What is that kid doing here? Is he here to kill people? I'm telling you, he can kill people from one end of the valley to the other without a dry eye. He has already skipped this step. At that time, they naively thought that the beasts here were weak, until the first student almost died in front of them, until they were surrounded by beasts and forced into a desperate situation, until they tried their best and only killed a 10-year soul beast. They just knew what Ghost Douluo meant by that sentence. The girl didn't have any special feelings for Chen, but she was curious about why the boy was so powerful, why he was so calm, and why he could make her feel so warm. She had many questions and wanted to catch up with him to ask, but now, there was suddenly a huge gap between them. No. Strong soul power fluctuations burst out from the girl, pink light spread, and the shadow of the demon fox loomed on Hulaina. The surrounding beasts seemed to have seen the goddess in their hearts. They stopped their movements and their eyes turned pink. Hoo. The girl panted heavily, her face was as white as gold paper, but she showed a happy smile. Now, the gap should not be that big, right? She thought so, her beautiful eyes closed, and she lost consciousness. Zhang Ping behind her hurriedly ran over to hug her. This is Nana's soul power, let's go. Xiaoyu scanned the surroundings, and his pale face felt that his muscles were shaking and he had lost his strength, but if he didn't leave now, he would die when these beasts recovered. Yen was still panting in shock, nodded hurriedly, and followed Xiaoyu. She actually broke through, this little girl, what a strong charm talent. Ghost Douluo narrowed his eyes, a little surprised. In fact, their performance was enough to get out of this valley, but Ghost Douluo wanted to see what these little brats could do. Well, maybe His Holiness the Pope will accept her as a disciple, of course, if Su Chen doesn't interfere. But, speaking of this, I don't know what's going on in Wuhuan City. Has this kid made any big noise again? Damn it, I really want to go back and take a look. A faint muttering came from the big tree in the center of the valley. Su Chen naturally didn't know that Hulaina had exploded because of him, and he didn't know that Ghost Douluo was also thinking about him. At this moment, he was standing in front of the Pope. Level 20. So fast. Bibi Dong opened her red lips slightly, and looked at the boy with her beautiful eyes full of surprise. It's only been a few days. He has already broken through level 20. By this calculation, the little guy is almost the same as the evil seed with full innate soul power back then. Both of them had level 20 soul power when they were 6 years old, but the little guy was different from that evil seed. He increased by 5 levels in less than half a month. This speed is simply terrifying. Well, I was also surprised. Su Chen nodded helplessly. He expected the breakthrough time to be not so fast, it should be 1 month later, but the domineering of natural energy was beyond his imagination. Originally, he was just trying to absorb it, but after the natural energy touched the chakra, it was like touching a newlywed wife who had been away for a long time. It rushed into the boy's body with a rude and rough attitude, and began to wander in the meridians with the chakra without saying anything. This scared Su Chen enough. You know, there are very strict requirements for the ratio of chakra and natural energy in the body. If you are not careful, you will assimilate with nature. Fortunately, the most terrible situation he expected did not happen. I don't know if it's because of too little natural energy or some other reason. Su Chen did not turn into a stone statue, but his soul power soared by 5 levels, and that soul bone, as if it had lost its core, went from being shiny to dull, and even some cracks could be seen. Su Chen could feel that it was slowly recovering, but this time was very long, so long that it was almost negligible. In short, this is an experiment that can neither be called a success nor a failure. Little guy, you really give me new surprises every day. After a long time, the Pope finally breathed a sigh of relief, and the reflection of the silver-haired boy was full in her wine-red eyes. She patted Su Chen's shoulder gently, then let Elder Ju go with you to the Star Do Great Forest. Chapter 33, Ideas about Wood Release, Tianmeng Ice Silkworm. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It must be said that this sudden 5-level winning streak brought some unnecessary trouble to Su Chen. If other soul masters heard this, they would definitely want to die with him. Versailles wouldn't be like this, right? But for Su Chen, not only was the plan interrupted, the research on soul bones was also terminated. He wanted to study it unless he found the second 10,000-year-old soul bone. That piece of soul bone can still be absorbed, but Su Chen can feel that the energy and skill power contained in it are very weak. Not only can it not improve soul power and physical fitness, but it may also have to use its own soul power to use it normally. 9/10 of his skills have been castrated. In addition, Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo never stopped looking at them like they were looking at monsters along the way. Approaching the big forest, Su Chen finally couldn't stand the looks in their eyes and couldn't help but said, I don't want to break through this kind of thing in a short time, okay? Can you please stop looking at me like that? Ghost Douluo. Ju Douluo. Do you know how much my research progress will be delayed if I break through these 5 levels? No, you don't know. You only care about yourselves. Ghost Douluo. Ju Douluo. If possible, I would trade level 5 to get back the lost time. The young man sighed helplessly. This is really not pretentious, the level can be improved no matter what, but the research on natural energy is not that easy. No, I can't bear it anymore, I'm so. Ju Douluo's eyes were red, and he rolled up his sleeves, ready to give some childhood education to this bastard who started poking at the heart at a young age. Here. Do people say it? Is this something a person can say? Please translate for me, what does it mean to be willing to trade level 5 to get back the lost time? Calm down, old chrysanthemum, if you bully him now, he will bully you in the same way in 10 years. Maybe we will have to make ends meet under someone else's hands in the future. Ghost Douluo quickly grabbed his good brother and gave him serious advice, this kid is a bit too evil. In terms of overall talent, he has already surpassed the granddaughter of the great priest. In addition, judging from His Majesty's current love for him, if he grows up safely, this holy son of Wuhuan Palace is almost 100% destined. Ju Douluo suddenly became depressed. What the good brother said makes sense. Although he is not angry in his heart, this kid is indeed. Alas. The young man noticed his resentful eyes and raised his eyebrows. Well, what's wrong? Has Elder Ju finally realized my difficulty? Ju Douluo. Old ghost, don't fucking stop me, I will definitely kill this brat today. Calm down, old chrysanthemum, calm down. Ah. Amidst the noise, the 3 finally arrived at their destination, Star Forest. The ancient trees that block out the sky and the sun, the endless green sea, the deep abyss, and the sky are filled with fluorescent lights. No matter how many times he sees it, this forest will always give Chen a little shock. Little Chen, do you have any thoughts about your second soul ring? The 3 of them stopped outside, and Ghost Douluo asked, regarding Chen's soul ring. Bibi Dong specifically warned not to interfere too much and just listen to Chen's own decision. The 2 of them didn't have any objections. After all, even they were confused about Chen's martial spirit called chakra. Well, if you can, please help me find a water-attributed soul beast, about 4,000 to 6,000 years ago. Chen pondered for a moment and gave his answer. If according to his own research, the use of the 5 elements escape technique requires finding a soul ring with corresponding attributes, Chen would still prefer water for the first ring. Water attribute ninjutsu is not like the fire attribute and thunder attribute which are in the extreme offensive direction, nor is it like the earth escape which is more defensive. The overall balance is relatively balanced. There are powerful offensive ninjutsu such as water dragon bullets, and there are also inferior hydration jutsu. It is called an elemental bug defense ninjutsu. The most important thing is that Chen wants to try if he can use the characteristics of the soul ring to integrate the bleeding limit. Among them, the simplest, and certainly one of the most powerful, wood escape is a fusion of water escape and earth escape. Since earth escape has many limitations, the first choice for the first level is naturally water escape. A water attribute spirit beast that is 4 to 6,000 years old. Ghost Douluo pinched his chin and nodded, no problem. Wait 4 to 6,000 years. Isn't this your second ring? He looked at Chen in shock. Did that master say that the limit of the second ring should be 900 years? The second ring is 4 to 6,000 years old, so where can I put my 4th ring? Any questions? Chen looked at him doubtfully. My first ring is 3,000 years. Isn't the second ring between 4,000 and 6,000 years a reasonable range? Ghost Douluo suddenly fell silent. He suddenly remembered that common sense was useless when it came to the monster in front of him. According to Chen, this year is indeed quite reasonable. That's why it's only reasonable to put it on him. Forget it, this kid knows it well. This time, it was Ju Douluo who comforted him. You see, he didn't even ask for a 10,000-year soul ring, right? Ghost Douluo. Thank you so much. The second link is 10,000 years. Will we title Douluo survive? Let's look for it. Finish the search and leave early. There is no result from what happened last time. Yu Guan patted Gui Mei's shoulder, his expression a little serious. He was talking about the last time when the Linwu Silkworm and the Millennium Wolf clan appeared at the outermost edge. Later, the Spirit Hall sent people to investigate, but found nothing. Su Chen also remembered that he seemed to feel locked by some powerful existence last time, but because there were too many things to do, he forgot about it. It shouldn't matter, right? Two Tidal Douluo, even if the Titan Giant Ape and the Sky Blue Bull Python come out together, whether they can beat them or not is another matter, and there will be absolutely no problem in running away, unless those fierce beasts come out together, but that is unlikely. At this moment, they should be lying in the Great Fierce Land to suck the Tianmeng Ice Silkworm. How could they have time to come out and trouble him? Okay, then we will look for them separately, but not too far away. Little Su Chen, follow me. Ghost Douluo nodded, grabbed Su Chen's shoulder, and flew deep into the forest. The two spread their mental power and carefully searched for soul beasts one by one. At the same time, deep in the Xingdou Great Forest, the almost substantial spiritual energy of heaven and earth turned into a blue light that enveloped this area. The clear lake was sparkling, and it was extremely beautiful under the reflection of the colorful sunlight. Countless rare and exotic flowers grew luxuriantly here, competing for beauty, and slowly stretched their plump bodies in the breeze. This is a treasure land that cannot be described in words. However, in the Xingdou Great Forest where every inch of land is fought for and fighting continues day and night, such a treasure land seems quite peaceful, with birds living safely and fish swimming freely, like a beautiful paradise. Not far from the lake, a round white silkworm-shaped soul beast was carefully moving its body, and its small golden eyes looked at the two snoring behemoths in front of it from time to time. Seeing that its movement seemed to be unnoticed, a drop of cold sweat fell on the smooth head of the silkworm-shaped soul beast, and it breathed a sigh of relief and continued to move forward slowly and firmly. Finally, with its unremitting efforts, it climbed to the other side of the lake. Seeing that the two behemoths were still motionless, the silkworm's soul beast couldn't help but grin, and couldn't stop ecstasy in his heart. Is this brother really going to escape this time? Is he going to escape from this dark hell? God knows what kind of life he has lived for so many years. Thinking about the life of being taken as snacks and bullied for thousands of years, he couldn't help but feel sad and his eyes turned red. If I didn't know how to cry, I would be in tears now. Fortunately, today, all this is over. When I escape, I will find a Tidal Douluo to sacrifice as soon as possible. By then, the mountains are high and the birds fly, and the seas are wide for me to jump. What can you soul beasts do to me? With my assistance, when that Tidal Douluo becomes a god, none of you who bully me will be able to escape. When he imagined the wonderful things, the silkworm's soul beast couldn't help but narrow his eyes and laughed. Hee hee. What good things did you think of, Tianmeng? Why are you laughing so happily? A heavy voice came from behind, and Tianmeng answered subconsciously. Of course, I'll kill all of you. But in the next second, it suddenly reacted, its body stiffened, and its head slowly turned back. A giant bear and 3 mastiffs looked at it with teasing eyes, and Tianmeng could even feel the saliva flowing from its mouth, dripping on the hot feeling beside him. Chapter 34 Great Crisis, King Bear and King Red are coming. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Gudu, Tianmeng swallowed and felt a cool air rush from his tailbone to Tianling Gai. Boss Xiong Xiongjuan and Boss Chichuachen, you, the boss, the boss Xiong Xiongjuan, the boss Xiong Xiongjuan, the boss Xiong Xiongjuan, the boss Xiong Xiongjuan, the boss with, it trembled, forced a smile on its face, and looked at the 2 behemoths fawningly. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Tianmeng cried in his heart, feeling that his end was near. Is there anything worse than running away and getting caught? That's the second time. Do you want to run away again? The giant bear known as Mr. Xiong hugged his paws, sprayed out 2 streams of white air from his nostrils, bared his fangs, and looked at the trembling ice silkworm with danger in his eyes. According to me, this kid can only be eaten by adults. If it doesn't work, we can just share it with a few of our brothers. The Red King shook his 3 heads, his 6 eyes looked at his white and round body with salivation, and his saliva fell on the ground with a hissing sound. That won't work. Lady Bridget said, this kid is very useful. You can only suck it, not eat it. Mr. Xiong shook his big head, licked his fangs with his tongue, and said somewhat maliciously, but if you take a few bites, it should be fine, right? Tianmeng. What's the difference between being eaten by you two and dying? I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm really going to die. Help. Is there anyone who can help me? No, if you can save my life, you will be my brother from now on. It looked at the 2 soul beasts getting closer and closer with trembling fear, and closed its eyes in despair. It seems that my brother's legend is about to end here. However, the expected pain did not come. Just when Tianmeng's mind was spinning, he suddenly felt 2 terrifying auras surge into the sky, causing a large number of soul beasts to scream in agony. What happened? It opened its eyes tremblingly, only to find that Xiong Jun and Red King seemed to feel something. They looked at each other and each showed a ferocious smile. I didn't expect it to come so soon. Damn human soul master thief, kill you. The bear's roar and the dog's howl sounded at the same time, and the 2 ferocious beasts turned into violent streams of light and smashed through a large area of trees, quickly disappearing, leaving only Tianmeng shivering in place. After a while, Tianmeng's beady eyes widened instantly after realizing that Xiong Jun and Red King seemed to be really far away. Damn, they're really good people. Without saying a word, his chubby body began to squirm crazily, rushing to the outside at the fastest speed in his life. Until the land filled with spiritual energy disappeared from sight, Tianmeng was still running wildly. I don't know how far it ran, but it suddenly burrowed into the ground, its mental power spread for 100 meters, and it didn't react until it didn't see the pursuers. It escaped. With the help of an unknown soul master, it escaped from that hell. Tianmeng breathed in the dirty air stained with soil in the ground, but he enjoyed it. This is what freedom tastes like. At this moment, Tianmeng Iceworm seemed to be in a dream. Good man, you will be my Tianmeng's eldest brother from now on. Although you may not hear me call you eldest brother, I, Tianmeng, will definitely keep this love in my heart. That it was so moved that it bowed and bowed in the direction of Xiong Jun and Red King, and couldn't help but sigh. If I could meet you and become your soul ring, I, Tianmeng, would be willing to do so, but it's a pity. No soul master can survive being chased by 2 ferocious beasts, not even a titled Douluo. Brother, have a good trip. On the outskirts of the big forest, Douluo was holding a dying white snake-shaped soul beast in his hand and talking to the white-haired boy. The latter held his chin, his delicate little face full of thinking. Well, this one is from the wrong year and looks a bit mottled. After observing for a moment, Chen shook his head. It's a water attribute, yes, but there's something else too. Take your time, there is no rush in this matter. Douluo comforted the young man and threw away the spirit beast. After the latter landed on the ground, he struggled to crawl away. We'll see if there are any surprises from the old ghost later. We're looking for the soul beast. It's normal to look for a few days. Chen nodded. He was about to say something when he suddenly noticed that Douluo's expression changed. It was a look of fear that had never appeared on the face of this titled Douluo. Chen only saw his mouth moving, but did not hear any sound. The next moment, warning signs surged crazily in the young man's heart, and a biting chill filled his whole body. Subconsciously, he activated the substitution and invisibility techniques as quickly as possible in his life. Boom! A dazzling wave of light instantly flooded the young man's location, completely emptying the area into nothingness. A violent roar just started, with trees flying and soil rolling. The young man hid behind a stone in a panic. The huge sound made his ears distorted for a moment. Careful! Only then did he hear clearly Douluo's heartrending shouts. The Star Do forest became completely dark. Ahem! The young man coughed dryly and quickly activated the first soul ring. A layer of white flame surrounded his body, and the scratches on his body were being repaired at an extremely fast speed. With his white eyes opened, he carefully leaned out, and when he saw the scene in front of him clearly, his pupils shrank. It's not that it's dark, instead, it was a giant bear that covered the sky and completely blocked the sunlight in this area. The giant bear swung its claws easily, and each time it swung, it could stir up a storm and wantonly destroy everything around it. Under it, a golden chrysanthemum was struggling to support itself. Is that Bear King? Chen took a breath of cold air. How did this thing get out? Wait, since Bear King has come out, then, he rolled his eyes, and sure enough, he saw a three-headed mastiff with fire spewing from its mouth and nose chasing a ghost not far away. Red King. The white-haired boy's face looked ugly. Bear King, Red King. The second of the 10 fierce beasts. The dark gold fear claw bear with 480,000 years of cultivation, and the three-headed red demon mastiff with 310,000 years of cultivation. Shouldn't these two be sucking the Tianmeng ice silkworm and protecting the emperor's auspicious beast now? Chen suppressed his breath to the lowest and kept observing the battlefield with his eyes rolling, his mind turning rapidly. The two Douluo of Chrysanthemum and Ghost were obviously not opponents, and the moment the two sides came into contact, they showed a declining trend. This is normal. Even after more than 10 years, these two people can only be regarded as barely able to contain the Azure Bull Python, not to mention that now, the opponent is still a beast far more ferocious than the Azure Bull Python. The most urgent task is to find the reason for their attack. Could it be that Xiong took out a piece of the flesh of the Linwu silkworm with a gloomy look? Is it because of this? If this is the case, then it makes sense. The last time they locked their breath, it was probably them. It seems that this is the only way. Chen took a deep breath and instantly opened the 8 gates of Duanjia. Green energy burst out around him, and his momentum rose, which also attracted the attention of the battlefield. Hey, is this what you are looking for? The boy threw the meat hard, and it flew towards the giant bear. This action attracted several pairs of eyes. Damn, it turned out to be you. The giant bear roared to the sky, and the violent sound made Chen's head faint for a moment. Fortunately, the boy was well prepared. The herbs in his mouth were crushed by instinct, and a clear feeling dispelled the dizziness. He threw down another piece of Linwu's silkworm meat, turned around and ran towards the depths of the forest without hesitation. Eat you! The two terrifying auras instantly locked the boy. At that moment, Chen felt the instinctive trembling of his body, which almost made his soul power stagnate for a moment, but fortunately, the chakra quickly turned back, so that the boy did not stop from the rapid sweeping state. Fortunately, his goal has been achieved. Bipolar forbidden domain, that the golden and silver halo circulated in this space, and both the Bear King and the Red King were wrapped in this layer of glow, and their huge bodies were fixed in mid-air. The two titled Douluo did not waste the moment of respite that Chen fought for, and launched their martial soul fusion skills without hesitation, the static domain that even 100,000-year soul beast could not escape. The young man wiped the sweat from his head. In the 3 seconds just now, he almost used up all his chakra and pushed the dragon's helmet, 8 gates of ninjutsu and instant body technique to the extreme. Otherwise, if he was a step slower, he would end up in pieces, but even so, the crisis was not resolved. Looking at the eyes of Xiong Jun and Wang, who kept turning in the golden and silver light, and the pale-faced Kaguya Douluo, Chen knew that this field might not be controlled for long. By then, not only him, but also Douluo and Ghost Douluo would be unable to escape because of the large consumption of soul power. Unless, the young man grinned, and his left and right hands lit up with azure light at the same time. The next moment, in the horrified eyes of Kaguya Douluo, he pressed the Rasengan hard on Xiong Jun and Wang's lower body. Chapter 35 The power of the multiple shadow clone technique is revealed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The air fell into a dead silence for an instant. At this moment, whether it was Mr. Xiong, Red King, or the two chrysanthemum ghost Douluo, their brains all went blank. What happened? What happened? Yuguan and Gue Mei felt that the sky was about to fall. if they had the chance to stand in front of Su Chen at this moment, they would definitely grab his shoulders, shake him hard, and shout hysterically, "What are you thinking? We use this trick to make you run away, not to provoke them to death." Under their somewhat desperate gazes, the golden and silver light on Mr. Xiong and King Red was dimming rapidly. Even if they tried their best to activate it, it would be to no avail. Click. The crisp cracking sound completely hit the bottom of Jugue Douluo's heart. The two could no longer maintain the two-pole forbidden realm. Their faces were like gold paper, blood spurted from their mouths, and they fell weakly from the air, ignoring the two culprits who made him unable to move and the young man who escaped from the attack. The two giant beasts inspected their lower bodies in fear. As we all know, no matter how powerful a male is, his lower body is extremely fragile. This principle also applies to 100,000-year soul beasts. Therefore, even if you know that the attack cannot break through their defense, you will still feel fear instinctively. After they checked several times and found that nothing was wrong, they breathed a sigh of relief, and then they became furious towards a certain silver-haired kid. "Ho! I will tear you apart." Amidst the shocking roars and howls, two violent and terrifying auras instantly spread for thousands of meters. Wherever they passed, whether they were humans or spirit beasts, they all rolled their eyes and fainted. At this moment, the entire perimeter was trembling under the overwhelming power of the two ferocious beasts. "Now, all the attention should be on me, right? You two elders, please give me some strength." In the distance, the silver-haired boy wiped the sweat from his forehead, listened to the roar containing endless anger, and nodded with satisfaction, but his expression didn't relax at all, because he knew that the real test had just begun. "I don't want to die here so hastily." Boom. A distance of several hundred meters can be reached in an instant for a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Like two speeding locomotives, carrying the power of destruction, crushing and tearing everything in their path. "Where's that kid?" Mr. Xiong was breathing heavily from his nostrils, his eyes were blood red, and after scanning for a moment, he spotted a galloping silver shadow on the left. "Want to run?" It smiled ferociously, pursed its lips, and signaled the three-headed mastiff to cut off his retreat. Mr. Xiong didn't want this human to die too happily, he must feel the ultimate despair. However, the Red King also turned around at the same time and sent the same signal to it. The two beasts looked at each other in confusion, looking in their respective directions, only to find two silver shadows galloping in different directions. No. More than two. Xiong Jun and Red King opened their mental powers and were shocked to find, there were dozens of figures with exactly the same aura, running wildly in different directions. "What is this?" Xiong Jun and Red King were a little dumbfounded. It's not like they've never seen the confusing ability of clones before, but this is the first time they've seen the same aura and soul power fluctuations. Only. Boom. The mountain-like body appeared 100 meters away like lightning, and the huge claws struck down. The two silver-haired teenagers had no time to dodge, and they instantly turned into smoke and disappeared. "Ha ha ha!" Mr. Xiong licked his fangs and looked at the other shadows that were still running wildly, showing a cruel smile. "The insect is struggling. Do you think you can escape like this? It's a bit too naive." While breathing, several more figures were bitten into pieces by the bear's paws and canine teeth, and disappeared into smoke. "Boy, you will experience something more terrifying than death." Amid the cruel laughter, Su Chen's shadow clones disappeared one by one. It's just that they didn't notice it, or didn't pay attention to it at all. In the corner, a wooden pile was rolling towards the depths of the forest with a strange trembling. "Old ghost, what should I do?" At the edge of the messy battlefield, Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo were leaning against each other in embarrassment. Their breath was weak and their bodies were in dilapidated condition. They had long lost their former extraordinary appearance. That kid's for us." Yu Guan's nose felt sore and she looked at the ghost helplessly. The latter remained silent. As early as when the two ferocious beasts desperately chased Su Chen and ignored them, the two of them understood his intentions, but this made them even more worried. "No, I have to save him." After a while, Ju Douluo wiped his eyes and stood up, with a determined look on his miserable face. "That child must not die." He is the hope of His Majesty the Pope and the future of Wuhuan Palace. Ghost Douluo nodded, but slowly clenched his fists. Old Ghost, you first find a way to pass the news to His Majesty the Pope, and then come and join me. Yu Guan patted his old friend's shoulder and smiled freely. If this kid dies, It's not shameful to live, is it? As for whether Su Chen could persist in the rescue, the two of them did not doubt or think about this issue. They firmly believe that teenagers can create miracles, just like the last few times. Pang. When the last shadow clone turned into smoke and disappeared in the mouth of the Red King, the faces of the two beasts finally became a little ugly. There is no real body, although the breath and soul power fluctuations of each clone, and even the expression on the face are exactly the same as that kid. There is no doubt that these are all fake. Asshole. The Bear King roared and punched the ground. The terrifying shock wave instantly destroyed everything within 100 meters. Don't worry, he can't run away. The 6 eyes of the Red King flickered, and the huge mental power locked this area firmly. I don't believe that he can stay in this forest for his whole life. In a bush, the rolling wooden stake finally stopped, and it actually took a breath of cold air in a humane way. This feeling is really uncomfortable. It was Su Chen. When the clones produced by the multiple shadow clones disappear, all senses will be transmitted back to the main body. The advantage is that they can be used for multiple learning and cultivation, and the disadvantage is like now. Within a few seconds, Su Chen experienced the feeling of dying in the claws of bears and the mouths of mastiffs in more than a dozen ways. It was definitely not a wonderful experience. If it were someone with a weak spirit, he would have fainted long ago, but fortunately, the effect was superb. This A-level forbidden technique from the ninja world bought Su Chen a lot of time even when facing the two fierce beasts, allowing him to use the transformation technique, a ninja technique with the same bug, to leave the battlefield. However, the current situation has not improved much. Xiong Jun and Wang will definitely not stay for too long. After all, the Soul Beast Co-Lord Silver Dragon King is still seriously injured and must not have the idea of exposing himself to the Soul Master world in advance. As long as Ju Douluo and Ghost Douluo are fast enough and bring more reinforcements to the big forest, they will be recalled to the great evil place no matter how unwilling they are. With Ghost Douluo's speed, this time will not exceed 3 days, but the most fatal thing is that Su Chen's chakra has almost reached the bottom and he is almost unable to maintain the transformation technique. Once the transformation technique fails, Su Chen will be locked by the two fierce beasts in the first time. Is there no other way but to move forward? Running away is a dead end, but moving forward obviously won't have any good results. It goes without saying what will happen to a human being whose soul power is exhausted in the depths of the forest. Forget it, let's move forward first. The boy who decided to move forward was slightly stunned. In Bai's eyes, there was an extremely huge energy source underground not far away. Chapter 39 10,000-Year Soul Ring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The outskirts of the Star Doe forest, green smoke was still rising from the messy battlefield, and the area of nearly 500 meters had turned into a dilapidated appearance. The huge dark gold terraclaw bear and the three-headed magic mastiff stood among them, and the aura they exuded made people with a radius of 1 kilometer. Even the spirit beasts didn't dare to get even closer. That kid is really his grandma's evil sect. Where did he go? Mr. Xiong waved his claws anxiously, and a strong wind swept through it, tearing a huge hole. The soul beast hiding in it completely lost its voice before it even had time to scream. Wait for another half-day. If we still can't find it, forget it. If Bridget discovers that we left the auspicious beast, she will definitely not let us go. The Red King opened his senses, and after finding nothing, he could only shake his head angrily. We don't believe this kid, and we will never come to the forest again. None of them wanted to let this human go, but the other managed to escape their detection somehow. If you continue to wait, you will definitely get results. But if you leave the auspicious beasts for too long, they will not get any good fruits when they return. Damn. Mr. Xiong beat the ground angrily, causing a violent noise like an earthquake. The spreading shock wave shattered the already messy battlefield even more. It roared to the sky angrily. Silver-haired brat, I will definitely tear you apart. After venting, the anger in its heart finally dissipated a little, and it sat down with its arms folded, releasing its mental energy without sparing any effort. Before leaving, you must also try your best to find traces of that human being. If I catch you there, Xiong showed a ferocious smile. He had almost figured out how to deal with the silver-haired boy. Anyway, he would not let him die too happily. Don't you need to worry about the guy peeping over there, that the Red King looked into the distance. No need to waste time on him. Mr. Xiong waved his paw, it's just an ordinary tidal Douluo. As long as he dares to come over, he can be killed in an instant. 1,000 meters away from the two beasts, Douluo took a breath and regained his mental strength. The frown on his pale face slightly relaxed. It is also a big problem for him to concentrate his mental energy to explore such a long distance, but there is no way, if the distance is any closer, if he is discovered, he will be killed without even a moment of reaction time. It looks like they haven't caught Chen yet. Hey, he is indeed a monster boy. To escape from the hands of 200,000-year-old soul beasts whose strength far exceeds the two of them is something that Yueguan seems to be impossible, but it is what it is. Su Chen created a miracle again. Damn it, if you can inherit the Wuhuan Palace in the future, I have no doubt that you can unify the continent. He grinned and looked up at the sky. The old ghost should probably go to the nearest Wuhuan branch hall. As long as the news is sent back to Wuhuan City as soon as possible, His Majesty the Pope will definitely come to help as soon as possible due to His Majesty's love for this boy. You brat, you are so capable, so you must hold on for a little longer. We are still hoping to make a living under your hands. Yuguan smiled and shook his head, stood up with difficulty, and was about to change places and continue to stare at the 200,000-year soul beasts, but at this moment, boom. A violent shock wave came towards him along with the roar. He staggered and covered his eyes with his hands, struggling to look towards the source of the sound, but his pupils suddenly shrank. A huge beam of light tore through the green sea, shot straight into the sky, and stirred the sky into a vortex 100 meters in diameter. What is that? Yuguan muttered absently, but before he could take a closer look, familiar soul power fluctuations came with the wind. This is... Damn it! Douluo's expression changed drastically, and he ran towards there without hesitation, and at the same time, whether it was the Red King Xiong Jun, Ghost Douluo who was galloping towards the Martial Soul Branch Hall, or even other soul beasts with the ability to think, they all looked at the beam of light that penetrated the sky and the earth. Silver-haired brat. The former stood up suddenly, looked at each other, roared to the sky, and his huge body rushed towards the light pillar like a roaring wave. Boy Su Chen. Ghost Douluo stopped abruptly and looked at the beam of light with a solemn expression. Then he gritted his teeth and forced himself not to pay attention. The ghostly shadow accelerated again. You must hold on, the Shilu City Martial Soul Branch Hall is right in front of you, deep in the Star Forest. Deming, Ming, let's go and have a look. I always feel that there is something very comfortable there. The scorpion-braided girl sitting on the back of the black giant ape swayed her crystal-clear feet. Her big pink eyes looked at the beam of light curiously, and she shrugged her nose in a daze. Well, it's like being born and touching nature for the first time. Can you feel it? Crash, a huge bull head stretched out from the lake, and its huge eyes like gongs and drums looked at the little girl helplessly. Sister Xiao Wu, don't make trouble. You have just transformed now. It is too dangerous to go to that kind of place. And the eyes of the soul beast with a bull head and a python body showed a little solemnity. That human being is being chased by Lord Xiong and King Red at the same time. Maybe something important is involved. It's best not to wade into this muddy water. And he even removed the lower bodies of those two people, thinking of the scene he saw before that almost stunned him. Daming couldn't help but shudder, and his lower body also felt a dull pain. It hurts at first glance. Hey, is it actually a human? Can it make such a big noise under the pursuit of those two guys? However, the scorpion-braided girl did not retreat at all after hearing this. Instead, her beautiful eyes lit up and she asked excitedly, what kind of human is it? Male or female, young or old? Is it good looking? Sister Xiaowu, are you really? The string of questions made the soul beast with a bull head and a python body full of black lines. It shook its head helplessly. With those two here, how dare I explore so clearly? The main reason is that I saw such an exciting scene in the first exploration, and I really didn't dare to continue. Otherwise, if those two knew about it, they might kill me to silence me. I only know that it should be a young human, maybe with silver hair. Anyway, Xiong Jun often shouted silver-haired kid and so on. Even if he didn't use mental power to explore, he could hear it. Silver-haired young man. Yeah, remember, that the scorpion-braided girl muttered, with a bright smile on her pretty face. If he can survive, I'll go find him this time. Boom. The lightning snake rolled in the dark clouds, and the funnel-shaped vortex slowly turned, exuding a terrifying power. In the center of the storm, the silver-haired boy wrapped in the golden torrent sat cross-legged, and the milky white energy spread in waves. Wherever it went, the grass and trees revived, and the flowers swayed. Under the doomsday-like scene, the area of dozens of meters around Su Chen was as quiet as a peach garden. The running lightning and the howling storm seemed to deliberately avoid the boy, but the strange fluctuations it produced spread far and wide. Unknown to the depths, the black dragon slowly stood up, and the emerald swan felt something and embraced the trembling golden little beast under its wings. They stopped together in front of the beautiful lake. Bring this person back. The silver vertical pupils slowly opened, and the voice of nothingness echoed here. Respect the order of the common master. Maybe it was a breath, maybe it was longer. The beam of light disappeared, the sky became clear, and all the fluctuations slowly faded away. At this point, the strange phenomenon finally began to weaken. The dark clouds in the sky gradually dissipated, and the lightning gradually disappeared. The golden particle torrents all sank into his forehead, and a purple soul ring slowly condensed on the side of the boy. However, the purple only stopped for a moment, and then quickly deepened until it became a circle of mysterious runes engraved on it. A black ring. Chapter 40. Say hello to the Silver Dragon King for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The young man exhaled a light white mist and slowly opened his eyes. Only 10,000 years. Su Chen clenched his fists, feeling the sudden surge of power, looking at the black soul ring floating around him, and smacked his lips in dissatisfaction. Brother, do you know what you are talking about? You are just a great soul master. 10,000 years is already very scary. Okay. In his mind, the somewhat speechless complaints of Tianmeng ice silkworm came. Who knows what the hell is the physical and mental strength of its big brother? The first ring of 1,000 years is already ridiculous enough, and it can actually withstand the second ring of 10,000 years. Looking at this spiritual world that is almost indistinguishable from the outside world, a huge village with every detail visible, Tianmeng really doubted his life. Is this the mental strength that a great soul master should have? Maybe its big brother is really the reincarnation of a god. I just don't know why there are 4 ugly statues on the cliff behind this good village. Tianmeng is very curious about this place. You're right. Su Chen laughed dumbly. He originally wanted to try 20,000 years, but his physical strength was not enough. This 10,000 years was already the limit of the limit. However, the silver-haired boy slowly closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they had turned into pure white jade. The bright blue flashed in those jade-white eyes, and the scene that suddenly became clear in front of him made Su Chen a little uncomfortable. Just like changing from 1080 to 2K, his Byakugan had greatly increased in terms of perspective range and depth clarity. Not only that, the boy closed his eyes and opened them again, and the white disappeared and turned into an ominous blood color. The originally lonely single Magatama has become a 3 Magatama. 3 Magatama Sharingan. Under normal circumstances, this is the highest point that the Uchiha Sharingan can reach. No matter how ordinary a person is, having a 3 Magatama Sharingan means that he has the strength of a Jonin. Nerve reaction, duplication, copying, all the illusions released through these eyes will be greatly increased in strength. As expected. Feeling the sudden clarity of his mind, Su Chen's mouth curled up with a hint of joy. The evolution of the Sharingan is nothing more than mental stimulation, but it does not have to be painful stimulation. As long as it can cause drastic fluctuations in emotions, it has the opportunity to promote the evolution of the Sharingan. Of course, through his research, Chen found that there is a simpler way, which is to directly increase mental strength. Therefore, after absorbing Tianmeng, a soul beast with extremely high mental strength, his Sharingan also evolved into 3 Magatama naturally. As for the higher-level Mangekyo Sharingan, it is not simply awakened by mental strength, but requires something more rare. System, check the panel. The young man muttered in his heart, and a light curtain that only he could see unfolded in front of him. Name, Chen. Gender, male. Age, 6 years old. Level 23, Great Soul Master. Soul Ring, purple, 3,000 years, black, 10,000 years. Soul Skill, Dragon's Helmet, all attributes increased by 50%, when damaged. Life recovery speed increased by 50%, 200%, the lower the vitality, the higher the recovery speed. Soul Skill, Mental Detection, Mental Sharing, Mental Interference, Soul Shock. Chakra Attribute, NaN, Water, completely master the operation of water element, can freely release water ninjutsu power greatly enhanced, water element affinity greatly enhanced. Life Energy, 2500, Standard Great Soul Master 600-1000. Spiritual Energy, 999, Spirit Sea Realm. Standard Great Soul Master is 51-100. Soul Power, Chakra 3000, Standard Great Soul Master 900-1500. External Soul Bone, Sharingan, 3 Magatama, greatly improves nerve reaction speed, dynamic detection, can release a large number of illusions through line of sight and increase power. White Eye, Perspective, 360 degrees no dead angle detection, farsightedness 3 kilometers. Features. Perfect Sage Body 20%, your self-healing ability is enhanced, and the speed of physical recovery is enhanced, enhanced vitality, enhanced affinity 4. Nature, improved training talent, and improved training speed in Sage mode, the ancestor of eye techniques. You can use all eye techniques without restrictions, requiring Mangekyo Sharingan / Eternal Mangekyo / Rinnegan, Kamui, unavailable, Amaterasu, unavailable, Tsukuyomi, unavailable. Usable skills, Suchen Style Sword Technique, Rasengan, Suchen Style Shuriken Technique, Suchen Fluid Technique, 3-Body Technique, 8 Gates Ninjutsu, 3rd Gate, Illusion, Shiranui, Water Style, Water Dragon, almost doubled life energy and spiritual energy. Evolved into a 3 Magatama Sharingan and greatly enhanced Byakugan. It is no exaggeration to say that even if Chen does not activate the Helmet of the Dragon and the 8 Gates of the Ninjutsu, he can completely beat the previous Millennium Wolf with just ordinary physical skills. As for the Soul Master who is dealing with the Iron-Horned Rhino, if the opponent is unprepared, he can even use the Sharingan to end the battle instantly. Licking his dry lips, the boy focused his eyes on the soul skills, and his heart couldn't help but beat faster. Mental detection has strong penetrating power and microanalysis ability, which can make up for the last shortcoming of his Byakugan. From then on, Chen can really be said to have no shortcomings in reconnaissance. Spiritual sharing is similar to telepathy. If he wants to establish power in the future, this timely transmission ability is indispensable. And mental interference and soul impact will reach a terrifying level with the blessing of Sharingan. Of course, what makes Chen most excited is the newly added soul power attribute, water. Freely use water escape ninjutsu. There is no doubt that so far, all his speculations are correct. If you want to use the 5 elements escape technique, you must first obtain a soul ring with the corresponding attribute. As for why Tianmeng Ice Silkworm is ice attribute but can obtain water attribute chakra, it is because the ice attribute is originally a combination of water plus wind. At that time, he could freely choose to fuse water or wind. However, compared with water, Tianmeng's wind attribute is not so much, and the second soul ring is water. It was decided long ago. Facts have proved that he succeeded. Calm down, now, let's find a way to deal with the situation in front of us. Chen took a deep breath to calm down his excitement. in his perception, two extremely terrifying soul power fluctuations were approaching him rapidly. The momentum emitted by the momentum, even though they were thousands of meters apart, made his skin feel stinging. Boom! In just 3 breaths, with the sound of explosion, two figures that covered the sky and the sun fell to the ground with a bang, smashing a huge hole with a diameter of tens of meters in the ground. In the rising smoke, several blood-red beast eyes as huge as gongs and drums stared at the small silver-haired boy. Xiong Jun, Wang, has arrived. I was wondering why I couldn't find you. It turned out that Tianmeng, a traitor, was helping you. The low voice came from Xiong Jun's hill-like body. It was originally furious, but now it looked particularly calm, but only those who were familiar with it knew that this was Xiong Jun, who was extremely angry. In the Sea of Spirit, in Konoha village, Tianmeng Ice Silkworm huddled in a corner, trembling all over. Xiong Jun's terrifying power made it unable to help but recall the fear of the past. Don't be afraid, big brother said he has a way, big brother said he has a way. That the Tianmeng Ice Silkworm shivered, constantly comforting himself, not daring to look at the situation outside, but from time to time, he glanced at the still calm boy. The fear in his heart was inexplicably relieved a lot. It's okay to rob the supplements for the Lord, but today, even Tianmeng was absorbed by you. Good, very good, very good. The Red King's teeth were clattering, and his muscular body began to tremble. Without the supplements, he would be scolded at most, but if Tianmeng was gone, it couldn't imagine what kind of punishment it would receive. When thinking of the horrible consequences, the aura of the Red King suddenly became unstable, and the murderous intent in the 6 eyes was as strong as substance. Silver-haired kid, you deserve to die. I want to kill you 1,000 times, but it's not enough. That the two beasts began to approach step by step. The pressure brought by the locked aura alone made Chen feel suffocated and dizzy. If it weren't for the surge in mental power, he would have fainted at this moment, and it seemed that they thought Chen would never be able to escape again, so the two beasts did not release any pressure, obviously afraid to kill him directly. They wanted to tear him alive. This gap is really huge. The silver-haired boy gently wiped the sweat from his forehead, and the small swelling in his heart caused by the surge in strength quickly disappeared. Yes, whether it is 1,000 years or 10,000 years, 10 levels or 20 levels, there is no difference in front of these two, but fortunately, he didn't plan to leave here by this. The boy smiled slightly and stretched out his hand. You too, I have something to say. The two beasts stopped. At this point, they were happy to see this calm kid crying and begging for mercy, which would make the two beasts feel a little better. However, the silver-haired boy still had that annoying smile on his face, just like when he attacked them. I'll give you 3 seconds to say your last words or beg for mercy. Maybe I'll let you die more easily then. Xiong Jun said coldly. No, I'll just say 1 sentence. Chen waved his hand, took a step, and walked towards the two giant beasts. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps. The Tianmeng Ice Silkworm in the Sea of Spirituality was limp all over and almost fainted. Finally, he stopped at the feet of the two giant beasts. Xiong Jun and Wang looked at the little man under their feet with some doubts. For some reason, they all had a bad premonition at this moment. You too. The corners of the silver-haired boy's mouth curled up, and a glimmer of light flashed in his blood-red eyes. Give my regards to Lord Silver Dragon King.